Well, the calendar year might be winding down for the holidays, but hockey fans are gearing up. The puck drops for the World Junior Championships on Boxing Day. The tournament is taking place in Ottawa for the first time since 2009, with the preview show airing tonight. TSN's James Duthie is hosting that special. He joins us with more. Hey, listen, we appreciate you coming on at 8:09 a.m. because that special starts at 7 p.m. Welcome to your morning, James.
My pleasure. Anytime for you, Anne-Marie.
All right, let's talk about last year. It was a tough one for Team Canada. They finished in 5th place. What did they learn from that tournament? What are the team's prospects looking like this time around?
Well, I think they learned that this is a tough tournament. And even though Canada is one of the favorites every single year, and, you know, these kids that come from around the country and all the different junior teams, they're all stars for their junior teams. And maybe you play a couple of games against Latvia or something in the preliminary round and it feels easy. And it's not. And it's not just the Americans or the Swedes. Now Czechia's got a really good team, as they found out last year when they beat them. So this is a really tough tournament with a lot of good players. So there's only 4 returning players for Canada, but I think they learned valuable lessons.
Who are the players you're going to be watching once Team Canada hits the ice?
Well, there's a lot. I mean, it starts with the starting goalie usually. That's a huge position for Canada at the World Juniors. It looks like it's going to be Carter George, who's an 18-year-old, which is rare. Often the goalie's a 19-year-old for Canada, but he's just a terrific goaltender who's played well for Canada internationally, played terrific in junior. Easton Cowan was the leading goal scorer in the 3 pre-tournament games we just did, a Toronto Maple Leafs prospect. And I think Gavin McKenna is really interesting. He just turned 17 a week ago. So we used to always call this a 19-year-old tournament because there's a huge difference between 16-year-olds and 19-year-olds. But I think that's changed the last few years. Remember, Connor Bedard came in at 16, and then by 17, he was dominating this tournament. Macklin Celebrini at a younger age last year. So Gavin McKenna may not start on the top line or anything for Canada, but we saw last night he scored 2 goals in their last game. Just a terrific talent who's probably going to be the first overall draft pick 2 years from now in 2026. So definitely a face to watch.
That is one of the best things about watching this tournament is everybody's a scout at home in their living room. Right. Everybody's a manager. Everybody knows what's happening, and you can just sort of try and predict the future for these young players. Hey, listen, James, this year's tournament is moving ahead under the shadow of a sexual assault case that involves 5 Team Canada players from back in 2018. That court date is in April. How is this shaping the conversation about the tournament?
Well, it's always been there, and it's been sort of hanging over Hockey Canada for the last several years now. I don't think, this group of kids is so far removed from that group of kids that I don't think it impacts them whatsoever. I do think that this court case, has to be settled before the cloud completely lifts over junior hockey and over Hockey Canada, but I think Halifax did a lot. The World Juniors went through a rough period there because of this scandal, because of COVID. One tournament was canceled, and then it was replayed in the summer, where it's not quite the same as over Christmas time. I think in Halifax a couple of years ago, the tournament really bounced back a lot. That was an incredible atmosphere there. And now back in Ottawa, which I've done these for 20 years now, Anne-Marie, I'd say, if not number 1, Ottawa's in the top 2 World Juniors ever. That 2009 event was just incredible. The crowds were remarkable. There was all these dramatic moments. Jordan Eberle scored that goal that everybody remembers. And so I think this is a really good place I think this is going to be one of the better World Juniors ever.
Oh, one to watch for sure. Okay, let's look ahead. Team Canada is going to face USA on New Year's Eve. So what can we expect from that matchup?
Well, it's the classic, and I think it's the 12th time it's ever happened, and go back to 2009, that was one of the most incredible ones. John Tavares, who was still 18, got a hat trick, and Canada came from 3-0 down to win that game. That is the #1 rivalry in hockey, Canada-USA, and a lot of these kids have played against each other growing up in U18s or in junior or NCAA. And I don't think there's anything like New Year's Eve, USA-Canada. Yeah. It never disappoints. There's wild changes of momentum. The reason we love this tournament so much, Anne-Marie, is because they're kids. Yeah. And so they make mistakes. And that leads to wild, entertaining hockey. And I think Canada-USA is probably the poster child for that.
We will be watching you and the game as well. Thanks for joining us. TSN's James Duthie. Thanks so much.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you, too. If you liked that video, make sure to subscribe to the Your Morning YouTube feed, where you can find all kinds of new content posted every weekday morning.